guys, welcome back to this tutorial. In this tutorial, we will talk about different data types that are available in Apex. So, we have five major categories of data types that are available. We have its primitive data types, collections, as objects, enums, classes, objects, and interfaces. So, these are the different data types that are available. So your variables can be of any one of these types. So primitive data types are further divided into other categories. We have integer data types, double, long, date time, string ID, or boolean. So that is a primitive data type. Collections is further divided into three types that are lists, sets, and maps. So that is what the collection is. Then you have is S object. S object is new means that any object in Salesforce. No matter it's a custom object or a standard object, it is called the S object. Okay, so that it's like the main object. And S object is the main object. So account is an S object, case is an S object, opportunity is an S object, or any custom object that you create, it automatically becomes a S object. Enums, then you have classes, objects, and interfaces. So these are the different data types that are available in Apex. Now, first thing that we'll go ahead and start with is its primitive data types. Now let's talk about primitive data types that are available in Apex and how we can use them. So first primitive data type we have is integer. It's a 32-bit number that does not include the decimal point. So that is what the integer data type is. If you want to create a variable which only can have a values without a decimal point, then you will go ahead and use an integer. So for example, if somebody that you want to store somebody's age, okay, so age is going to be the whole number like 21, 22. Nobody says that I'm 22.2, 23.3. So it's a number without a decimal point. Then in that case, you can use the data type as integer. So for example, here, this is the data type as integer, and this is the name of the variable, and this is the value of the variable. So that is what the integer data type is. It's a data type which can only include numbers without a decimal point. Now the next data type we have is long data type. It is also a primitive data type. It's a 64-bit number, so you can store bigger values in this. 64-bit number means you can store larger values. 32-bit, it's a smaller, the range is less. It's a 64-bit number that does not include a decimal point. So that is what we have is long. So if you wanted to store a large number without a decimal point, then you can use the data type as long. Here you can see an example long. This is the name of the variable, and this is the value of the variable. So the long usually will end up with the letter L. It tells you that it's a long variable. Now another data type is decimal. Sorry, it's wrong. It's a decimal. So let's say if you want to store the weight, like you want to store 20.3. So this is a decimal point number. If you want to store something like that, then you will have to define or declare a variable, decimal variable. So here is, you can define the type as decimal, then the name of the variable and the value of the variable. So the declaration is same. All it changes is the data type. And then whatever the name you want to provide for the variable, and the value will be the corresponding to the data, to the type of data. So if you have defined the type as decimal, the value should be of the decimal type. If you have defined the type as long, the value should be long. If you define the type as integer, the value should be of the type integer. Now double. This is a data type, a 64-bit number that includes a decimal point. So that is what a double is. So these two are without the decimal point and these two are with the decimal point. This is 32, this is 64-bit number. This is 32-bit number and this is 64-bit number. So double D is 5.143. This is the type, it's double, the name is T, and this is the value. So now we have a lot of primitive data types. So the next set of data types is Boolean. It's a primitive data type, a value that can only be assigned as true, false, or null. So if you have that, if you want to store like true or false kind of values, then in that case you will have to define a variable or you can declare a variable of the type boolean. So for example here, this is the example boolean. This is the type of variable boolean is active. This is the name of the variable and this is the value. It can either be true or false. You cannot have anything else in the boolean. Just like an integer, you can only store numbers. Like in boolean, you can only store three type of values. Either it can be true, either it can be false, or it can be the null. That is the only values that you can store in a boolean variable. The next one we have is the date. As the name indicates, it is referring to a particular day without any information about the time. Okay, so this is the example of the date. Time, next is time. This data type will store the times. So the hours, minutes, seconds, and milliseconds. That is what the time data type. And next is date time. Date time will store both dates as well as time. So that is the date time data type. The time will store your only information related to the time. Date will only store the information related to date. Let's say let's say 19 March 2018. That is what the date is going to tell you. Boolean can only have three values. Either it can be true, false, or null. Now in the next tutorial, let's go ahead and do some examples to see what date looks like. How do we create the date variable, or how do we create a time variable, and what are the different types of functionalities that are available in this date or time, and what are the things that we can do in the developer console. So I will see you in the next tutorial. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Bye.